The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everybody. From the collection First Buddhist Women, Poems and Stories of Awakening by Susan Murcott. There's a teaching here from a woman teacher, Vajra. Now, this is in the form of a dialogue, which would be common in the day. The Upanishads, for example, have many of its teachings in the form of a dialogue between two different characters. They go back and forth. In this case, the first character is Mara, and Mara you may be familiar with. This is the Balrog that gave trouble to Gandalf, right? This is the tempter, the antagonist who finally appeared to Buddha directly on the moment before his realization and said, why do you do this to me? And by what authority do you do this to me? And the Buddha touched his hand to Mother Earth. She recognized his authority, and it was done. Now, in this case, Mara is in dialogue with one of the Buddha's successors and disciples, Vajra. Mara says this: "Who put this living being together? Where is the maker of this self? Where does your being come from? Where will your being end?" Vajra says, "What's this being you're going on and on about? That's your delusion. We are nothing but the skandhas. There's no being to be found here. It's like this. A certain combination of parts is called by the name chariot. So too with the skandhas. The elements of mind and body, it's common usage to say a being. It is suffering that exists. It is suffering that endures. But so too, it's suffering that disappears. Nothing but suffering exists, and nothing but suffering comes to an end." Then Mara, death himself, thought, "Ugh, Vajra knows me." And sad and dejected, Mara vanished. Now this morality play, this dialogue, this wisdom encounter this Dharma combat. We don't really think, most of us today, I don't suppose, I don't think most of us feel that there's a literal entity out there with eyes on you. Maybe you do feel that way sometimes. But as you draw near to some measure of equanimity and some measure of clarity or compassion, that this volitional entity suddenly gets an alert text. Hey, watch out. Mary Jane's coming to awakening. Get down there. Descends. What? Mary Jane, how dare you? But it does kind of feel like that, does it not? Does it not feel in your own experience that as you sit there, oh, how lovely it'll be. I'll just go to temple, that place of places, and be with the Sangha, those people of people, and be with those teachers. How I adore every word. Every gesture and phrase, it'll be so delicious. Mwah. I will go to temple, I will go to retreat, it will be lovely. And you get here and it's like, oh, what am I doing here? Why am I here? What is this? I can't believe he said no and rang me out. Oh, the bitch. And the coffee's cold and the food's too hot and the incense smells. But more importantly, your own particular catastrophe, past, present, or looming, shows up. You think you avoided me. Right? That moment from a past life again shows up. The fear of what could be next. The sense of constantly missing this exact moment somehow. Like we're in some kind of bizarre time loop. We're just always outside of our own life by just a smidge. It takes many forms, but it always feels like this particular paddle was built exactly for this specific behind. And it hits right where it hurts. I can see where we might make story and myth of a personal antagonist chasing us around, but I tell you, dear one, it's yourself. At the very least, it's just another aspect of yourself. So we can see in this exchange with our female ancestor teacher of the way, whose name is now being sung, we see something of her particular demon. And in it, we can see something perhaps of our own. Because honestly, the paddles aren't really all that much different from each other if you get right down to it. Our dialogue enters with Mara saying, "Who put this living being together?" That might seem like a silly, inane question to you, but pretend it mattered for a second. Pretend that in some version of your own life, you were sitting and this was a deeply vexing question. Who put me together? Where did I come from? Who assembled this? Where is that person? Where is this maker? Who's responsible for this nose and this knee? Who the hell put this? Who figured this knee out? I want to have a little talk with them right now. All this amazing in the cosmos, and this you give me as a knee? What? But we can see, or perhaps we should consider that for this practitioner, this noble ancestor of the way, this is the alive edge. This was the barrier gate that was keeping her, at least some moment, stuck. Where does this creator being come from? I mean, perhaps we think that the questions of the new atheists of the late 20th century are brand new insights, so they're not. Okay, if God's forever, where the hell did God come from? Well, it's turtles all the way down. This is nothing new, guys. Nothing new. But for her, who put me together? Where is that creator? And where did they come from? And maybe a little bit more poignantly even, and where will it all end? What happens to me? What happens to them? Now, these essential questions in many ways are at the heart of many of the world's theistic religious traditions. Attempts to answer the question, where the hell did we all come from? Why is it the way it is? And who the hell's responsible? We need to have a chat. Or I need to come and bend a knee and plead. May I be included amongst the worthy? How do I know I'm amongst the worthy? And what significantly will become of me? Now, this question, what will become of me, is a very, it's actually quite a noble question. Actually, in a way, all of these are, with a small n. Not the big N of the truths, but a small n. That is a noble question. You deserve to know. You deserve to ask. You are a human being. You have consciousness. You have language. You know, at least at some level, you're going to die. Huh? The tree doesn't really have to worry about that. It's no less true for the tree, but the tree, as far as we know anyway, we could be wrong. But we don't think the tree's cognizant of it in the way that we are. Now for you, for many of us, our particular edge at times will show up in a languaged question. Other varietals include such wonderful topics as, why aren't I good enough? That's a good one. What's wrong with me? Or sometimes it's not really a language thing. It's not languaged, it's felt. There's a feeling in the body of just, garden variety dread, let's say, or maybe specific places in the body where there's a sense of a hot poker or a dull ache or a vast empty chasm where something important ought to be. We know it. That's harder to put in a dialogue form, but it's no less worthy. It can come in many forms, your own particular Mara. But the thing is that Mara is actually a bodhisattva to you. Whatever it is, wherever your edge is, wherever the fear is, wherever you're afraid to lean in, please do. please do, because that's exactly the gate to awakening. Mara, it turns out, is not an antagonist, but actually one of your greatest allies. If you can recognize and know how to work with this dull ache, this sharp pain, the sense of always being way too much all the time, why can't I be less? Or being barely perceivable, why can't I count? It doesn't matter. But of course it does for you. So when Mara comes to visit you, please be encouraged. This is a very good sign. Mara got a text about you. And he's coming for y'all. That's a good thing. That's a good thing, because when Mara is up front, you can see what's going on. You now know who you're wrestling with or where the edge is. This is really, you're much better off. If you're just kind of anesthetized and distracted and pleasured just enough that you keep kind of asleep and jacked into the matrix, now you're damn near hopeless. You're too cozy. You won't wake up. And you will live and die in that cocoon with nice paintings in the inside of it that you content yourself with. But it is not sufficient. The best thing for you is to have that cocoon get a slash in it. Oh, my precious fresco. I worked so hard on that image. Rip. Well, good on you. It wasn't that impressive anyway. And it wasn't really helping you any, was it? You are so fortunate to have Mara show up. Good for you. Excellent. That means the facade is failing you, and it should. You deserve it. Really. But it's a little uncomfortable, yeah? It kind of sucks. From the perspective of being in the cocoon the whole time, you know, part of you would rather it just not. So perhaps the fresco rips open where you saw the delightful image, you now see a vast space of, oh shit. And you'd, oh no, that's all right. Tape. Let's just look over here for a while. That's okay, I'm just not gonna notice that one. It doesn't work though. It doesn't work. This is why you have to be very careful about Zen practice, because once you start, you actually can't stop. You can quit for a while, but you can't stop. That cocoon has the rip, and you know it. And good on you. You deserve no less. But you do deserve more. So our heroine, our teacher, in this dialogue form, she expresses her experience. And she goes right at it. What is the linchpin that keeps all of those questions? Why am I not good enough? Why am I so much all the time? Yada, yada. Who put me together? Where are they? Where did they come from? Where will this all end? What happens to me? Why is it like this? Good, it's about goddamn time, you wondered. For real. That's a good crisis to have. That's very good. That's progress. That beats being asleep at the cocoon. But you can't stay there. You can't stay there, honey. You know, in the Mumonkan, he says it's like a red-hot iron ball that you've got halfway down. You can't puke it out and you can't swallow it. You are stuck. That never made sense to me until I had the experience of almost choking once. It was about a bagel and some orange juice, and we were getting along just fine, or so I thought. And then the bagel suddenly plotted a coup in my windpipe and said, "I'm going no further," and it expanded to at least 3 times its size. And for a harrowing moment or two, I really couldn't spit it out, and I couldn't swallow it down. I was literally pinned without air. It resolved, thankfully. But that image in Mumonkan, it's like, imagine that, except now it's boiling hot. You can't puke it out, you can't swallow it down, you're not getting the air, and just for fun, it's scalding you. That's something like the feeling. Is this hell? No, dear one, this is the gateway to heaven. This is actually the doorstep to freedom, because you care enough and because you're starting to see through the bullshit. Am I keeping you awake, brother? Oh, yeah, yeah. Anyway, that stuck, can't move, can't escape, can't pretend it's not happening, can't go forward, can't go back, burning, good. Very good. This has been happening for generation after generation after generation. Please don't confuse the work of awakening with just mundane drama in the world. It's not the same. It might look the same from a distance, but anyone who's alive at moments will have sincere and real cause for ordinary drama. And I don't mean to diminish it in any way, it's dramatic. But the spiritual crisis itself smells a certain way. There's a feeling to it. There's a vibe to it. This is not caused just because the check bounced or the diagnosis went the wrong way, or, I mean, those are heavy. Those are very heavy. But this spiritual question actually is kind of the heaviest of them all. So she says, what is this being you're going on and on about? And right there, she puts an arrow right in the heart of the beast. The linchpin around which all of those questions wind themselves and bind you. What's going to happen to me? Where did I come from? Why doesn't anyone like me? Why can't I get on and on and on? What do I have to do to finally accept myself? You can see it, yeah? She goes right at it, man. Like that rock right at Goliath's temple. One little stone in just the right place, all it takes. Kunk, over. What is this being you're going on and on about? See, somewhere in her practice, in her training, in her realization, she stopped buying that. Now, I want to make it clear, she didn't add some component to herself that wasn't there to begin with, and now she's cool. She didn't level up on the video game and now has the cooler gun and now she can do it. It's not like that. It's letting go of stuff. It's dropping off the unnecessary, the unhelpful, the extraneous. It's not addition. You don't need any addition. You're perfect exactly as you are. Really, you're beautiful. So she goes on, what is this being that you're going on and on and on about? What is it? You see, that is your delusion right there. And with that, Mara is way back on his heels. That's the one deal the devil doesn't want to make. Because there's no deal. She gives some teaching to old death. She says, we are nothing but the skandhas. The skandhas are, it's a fancy name for heap, like a pile of leaves. That's a skandha. And we recite it daily in the Heart Sutra. We're nothing but the skandhas. And it's very interesting if you really begin to get intimate with the moment that you're actually in. The way out of suffering and samsara is to come into contact with your actual experience. Come to your senses. Be this time. Hear the sounds coming through the windows. Feel the breeze as it gently goes across your skin. Sense the gravity of your own body on the floor of the zendo. Whether it's the hot cup of tea in your hand, the water of the shower hitting your body at last, whatever it is, pain in the knee, a cursed knee of mine. Go right there. Whole body, whole mind, whole heart. Trust yourself. Trust this moment. Do not be afraid of it. It's you. It's always been you. So just drop the you. It's the best way. It's the quickest way. She goes on, there is no being to be found here. It's like this, she says. Obviously, Mara's back on the heels, not quite getting it or not quite wanting to. She says it's like this. A certain combination of parts is called by the name chariot. So it is with the skandhas. The elements of mind and body, it's just common usage to say a being, me. And of course we say it. Hi, how are you? I'm okay. How are you today? Or I'm good, or I'm sad, or whatever. And it's fine. Please don't think that you have to go through your day somehow avoiding any kind of identifying language ever. It's very awkward for both of us. Just don't do that. You might not have thought of it, but the upaya of coming into the Doksan room and saying, my name is. It's important. Say your name. Say your name. There was an important moment for me in my own experience with the Dharma when I had plunged somewhat free of the cocoon, at least a toe or two was sticking out the sides of it. And I came into the Doksan room and I was determined not to say, my name is. I forget what my name was at the time, probably Jay, maybe Chikyo. It wasn't Rinsen yet because it was with Daido Roshi. But I was just hellbound that it was wrong to say, my name is, and I saw that it was a trick and a trap, and I was going to show Roshi I had seen through it, and I was going to go in there, and I was just not going to buy the trick, and then I would get a gold star on my forehead, and everyone would know I was cool in the Zendo because I had seen through the essential trick. The door opens, you make the bow, then the door closes, and you make another bow, and you sit down and you say, "My name is." Aha, I get it. As long as we do that, we're trapped. I'm seen through this. I'm not going to play the game. No. Anyway, so I go in there, and I forget exactly what language I did or didn't use. Something like, it was really in the belly of retreat, too, not at all unlike where we are now. I was really in the thick of it, so I was just going for it. And it was something like, the one before you is not really before you, with a nameless name, which is not a name. And he said, "Oh, fuck," and he just rang the bell. And I was shocked. I was like, "But I didn't say my name." He said, "I know it, so I'm ringing the bell on you." "But no, I'm..." And he just did, he did the right thing. He just did what he just shut down. Because, when the bell rings, then there's the response, ging, ging, a gig's up, man, the next person's trucking in, move on, I was not happy. I was not happy. But actually, very, very, very generous, very, very kind and compassionate teacher, not playing along with my horseshit. It's not a mental game that we're playing here. It's not a matter of thinking laterally or three-dimensional chess and outwitting the teacher. I mean, come on. There's lots of really smart people on the planet. If that's all it took, way more of us would be awakened and we'd all be fine. It's not like that. It's not about being spontaneous or unexpected. It's not about taking your chess piece and turning it upside down and saying, "Ha, I win." No, you just turn your chess piece upside down. That won't help you. Sometimes people think it has to do with just being spontaneous and creative and beyond the bounds of any convention. That won't help you. It won't help you any more than just being completely Johnny obedient and doing exactly what you're supposed to do all the time. It doesn't help you either. It's not about that. In Tenka's passing, when her body was exactly in this spot where Doan Sensei and I now are, the Diamond Sutra was recited continuously for her, and frankly for all of us. And it's filled with this teaching. I mean, I just, grab it here and I open to a random page and I read, it says, "Subhuti, a bodhisattva who thoroughly understands the principle of no self and no dharma as the true self and the true dharma, respectively, is to be considered an authentic bodhisattva. Such are known only by name. Don't be fooled. But significantly, one who sees into that emptiness is the real bodhisattva. She who hears the cries of the world and responds." And she's crying too, by the way. Don't miss that part. And those tears are the precious jewels of the Dharma. And they are yours, and you deserve them. The last thing you would want to do if someone begins to cry the tears of the bodhisattva is to rush up and say, "Oh, there, stop, don't cry. Here, have a Twinkie. Milk, cookies, watch a show." Anything but that, no. The world will do that. The world outside will do anything to shut that down. Not here. Here it's sacred. Please. And that's why it's very important that when we come into this practice, this space of the Dharma, you know, everybody has to sweat their own blood. Once in a while, someone else will come up and help mop up a little bit. But you've got to do the work. You've got to bust through that stupid cocoon. Really. And so people will go to great lengths. I certainly did. People will go to great lengths to get to a place where that work can actually happen. The obstructions are removed. You don't have a bunch of people outside the cocoon pushing it shut on you for their own reasons. No, let it rip. It's a good thing. But it's not just that. It's not the end of the story. That's the transitional pivot. She goes on to explain a further teaching. Suffering exists. You might recognize this as a rhyme to the First Noble Truth, which we often hear is translated as life is suffering, right? This is a noble truth with a capital N. Even when there's no such thing as a chariot or a person or any fixed self, suffering exists. But there's a cause to that suffering. There is a why to that suffering that you can actually address. It is suffering that exists, and it is suffering that can endure. However, it is also suffering that can end. You can't end because you never began anyway, so don't worry about that. Suffering, that's another story. Nothing but suffering exists, and nothing but suffering comes to an end. There are causes and conditions which give rise to this dukkha. Because that is so, it can be worked with. Then death itself thought to itself, oh shit, the jig is up. So, what about you? If up to now your practice has been all sweetness and light and bliss and repose and ease, I apologize. I have failed you. But don't worry, we have time. And on the other hand, if you find yourself confronting the traumas and calamities of your daily life, and yet they have a deeper hue to them, congratulations. You begin to see the girding behind what's going on. Either way, the direction is clear, the practice is simple, and the results actually you can take refuge in. And remember, it's not about getting something right or figuring something out or adding something to yourself or getting the correct module added to your game. It's about letting go of everything that's in your way. And you can. You absolutely can. And you are. You definitely are. At times I'm really grateful that you don't have to listen to each other in Doksan. I think that's a blessing for you. But sometimes I think, it would be really great if you could hear each other in Doksan. because y'all are actually quite amazing. You really are. I mean, you should know that. You are doing the thing. We actually are digging in. The real deal practice is happening here. And I'm not talking about the person sitting next to you. I'm talking about you. You're doing it. Don't doubt that. Keep going. Keep at it. Take this up. It's not a game. And this is not something to just kind of get through until the end of the last bell. There's really no end to it. That damn cocoon has got to come off, though. Fortunately, for you and for me and for all of us, we're not alone in this project. This is not just you against the demons in the world. You're in the womb of suchness itself. You're in the heart of the Buddhist teaching. You're surrounded by bodhisattvas. The ancestors are here. The descendants are here too. Don't look for sparkly lights to shine through the ceiling or angels to come and give you secret runes of power. It's far more mundane than that, but it's far more miraculous than those would be. It's right here. It's right now. Just let go.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to is unsurpassable, I vow to